Hi, welcome to the Drama-Free Living Podcast. It's Dennis and Lisa McIntee, and we're talking about burnout and work-life balance.
And why it's important.
Yeah, and so today we want to cover really 4 lies, and the next 2 podcasts, we're going to kind of deal with some of the lies that people believe about work-life balance.
And the podcast before this, we really laid a foundation on the concept of burnout, what it is. And so if you want more information or want just to dive in a little deeper, go back and listen to that one.
Yeah, so let's kind of get into like some of these ideas of work-life balance, what is it, and just some of the lies. And one lie that we've discovered is that, here's a lie. Achieving work-life balance means equal time for work and personal life, right? So if I'm working 4 hours, then I have to take 4 hours off. And then, or if I'm working 8 hours, then I have to take 8 hours off. Lisa, you know what I'm thinking about right now? You have no idea what I'm going to say.
I do know what you're thinking about.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about, we just finished Gilded
Age.
Right?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
888.
888.
And this was the steel workers back in the early 1900s. I'm assuming it's basically true, is that they were working 12 to 14 hours a day.
Right.
And
6 days a week.
6 days a week. So they had one day off. Basically, they would work all day long, pretty much eat and go to sleep. And they were all chanting, they were forming unions and going on strike. And
so
were
they wanted to work
888.
8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep.
Of rest.
Right, and 8 hours to do what you will.
What you will, yeah.
What you will, right? So they chanted 888. And I just kind of hit me real quick, right? So that it really isn't true. Right, is that it doesn't look like it's got to be equal time.
It's not a cookie cutter for everyone.
And that's the thing, I think, right?
Absolutely. So we have differing priorities and we have differing values.
Mm-hmm.
And work-life balance to you is completely different than work-life balance to me is.
Yeah, because we're all unique.
Mm-hmm.
And it means different things to different
Right.
Different
It varies from person to person. And it's more about aligning your time and your energy with your own priorities. And ultimately, no one can tell you what's important to you. Right. Only you can decide what's important to you. And that's having that awareness, aligning your life to fit your values, and to be living a life that is deciding what's important to you and sticking to it.
And really, it's kind of architecting your life. And I think many times, you live automatically, but you don't learn and grow automatically. Mm-hmm. And how many times do people, we're just on autopilot and, we're in the grind, we're on the hamster wheel. And it's not until we come to this point of burnout where we go, oh, things have got to change. Well, let's step back and kind of architect your life a little bit. Lisa, it's one of the reasons that we plan free time before we plan any other time.
Right.
Because it's just like having a car. Or if I have an electric car, I want to plug it in first. And so it almost becomes this prerequisite for great achievement. So different people have different values. Another one is intensity of work versus kind of quality time. And, the nature of work, it's like there's different levels of intensity and focus. Right? There's an ebb and flow, like how you talked about on the last podcast. And if we don't understand the ebb and flow, and I've had this challenge sometimes where I think it's always got to be intense and it's always got to be hardcore and it's always got to be like going 100 miles an hour. And sometimes work can go 50 miles an hour and that's okay.
Right. Absolutely. And that goes along with seasonal projects, seasonal work or project-based work. I know even in our business, there are seasons where it is very busy for us. Yeah. And then there are other seasons, quarters throughout the year that it slows down. And and our clients that we work with, I'm thinking of some of our clients up in Pennsylvania, the green industry is they have times where it's incredibly busy and there is not time to breathe. Yeah. But knowing that coming up is going to be the time of just being able to sit back and relax. And you have to know that the industry that you're in or the position you're in has those seasons. So before you go and take a position, find out what that ebb and flow is and what that seasonal or project-based work looks like, because you may think that you're going into a position and it's going to be 40 hours a week, however, 50 weeks a year. And in reality, it's maybe 12 weeks of crazy, But then there'll be 5 or 6 weeks of complete relaxation. And it just depends on if it's seasonal or project-based work.
Yeah.
And adapting to these fluctuations rather than strictly adhering to a time allocation is going to be the solution and the win.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these things is really defining the expectations for yourself and you being very clear. Another lie is that balance has this one-size-fits-all approach. Right? It looks the same for everybody. And
everything, every position, every company.
And that's not true.
Right. So with that, we are all in various stages of life. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are different stages of life. There are different seasons that we go through, different stages. We could be in the young, small children, child-rearing years. And let's face it, little kids get sick, and you have to be able to take them to the doctor, or you have to be able to cut out when they're off school or come up with some childcare solutions. But then also you could be in a phase where you're caring for maybe an elderly family member, and that's going to take more time. It's going to take more energy outside of your work life. So maybe you're working the same amount of hours, but you're putting a larger chunk of energy into your outside hours caring for these other individuals. And so there is just these seasons and these stages of life that we have to be aware of. And you never know. I mean, you do
when
know.
Stages change.
You do. There are some very obvious. You know, your wife is getting ready to give birth and you're walking into a stage. But other times you really don't know what these stages are. And so being able to be in a healthy balance before you get into a difficult stage is really key. So
that's really good.
Just being aware of what's going on and aware of the transitions as you're stepping through life.
Well, and I think as leaders, like how we lead people to realize that you have different team members in different stages of life. And we've realized we have team members in all these varying stages of life, and a little bit allow the ebb and flow of that, where we know, if you have teenagers, we have a team member who has teenagers, and there's certain ebbs and flow to her stage of life that we have to be, because we're empty nesters, and sometimes we forget what it was like to have 12, 13, 14-year-old, hungry boys that you have to feed, every couple hours. Like we remember, it's a distant here or there. It's a distant memory. We remember it, but it's a distant memory, and we're in a totally different life stage. And understanding that, like, balance looks different, because there'll be times, Lisa, where we'll take the morning off, but we know we're going to work until 8 or 9 o'clock that night at times. Right. And so we know that there are different life stages, and just to understand that. And then also, because it doesn't fit, one size doesn't fit all, there's occupational differences, right? Some, professions, industries, right? We know, like, our accountant is super busy the first part of the year.
Right.
And we just know that that's kind of a job that requires a certain time and commitment, and there's different projects, different deadlines. And so it can't be a one size fit all. Every business looks different. You said for ours, like, our team knows in the spring and the fall, they know I'm not going to be as available as, say, I am, during the winter or during that peak summer time where there's not as many events and that take our attention.
Right. And another way that occupational differences come into play, I'm thinking of two in particular. One, we have some friends that are in the financial services area. And honestly, they go golfing. They do these different social activities.
That really is business.
Well, and people look at them and they think, wow, what a life you have. But really, those connections and those interactions, that is how business is done in certain occupations. And so it's not necessarily all it's cracked up to be. Yes, you're golfing and you enjoy golfing, hopefully, but you're also cultivating relationships and understanding the needs of people, of your clients, and it truly is business. And then another occupational difference would be what we do. So we were just in Scottsdale. We had a client meeting all day on Thursday, and so we flew out to Scottsdale, and client meeting all day Thursday. Our anniversary was Friday, so we took the day off and just kind of enjoyed ourselves. And then, it's the weekend, so we took the weekend and then we flew back. And people think, wow, that's so amazing that you get to fly and travel. And
but what they don't understand is that Tuesday flight day, it was full on, full work day.
And it was hard and it was horrible. And
what do you mean it's horrible?
I had a really bad day. It was, I was grumpy and I was just doing what I could to keep my stuff together.
Yeah.
And I told you, I was like, I just wanted to let loose. But those are these occupational differences that we can't look at one occupation and think, wow, they haven't made, because you don't understand the complications and the difficulties and the ways that you're stretched in all these different industries.
Yeah, so there's not a one-size-fits-all. And Lisa, then there's also this whole idea, and you've really studied this about work styles.
Absolutely.
Right, because people are different.
It's the same as learning styles, it's work styles, it's also like as in Working Genius, your passions, your proficiencies, your frustrations.
Yeah.
These different things, different people work differently in different time frames, in different environments. Some people really like concentrated, focused work time. Yeah. Other people need a more flexible, collaborative environment. Some people need a lot of stimuli going around, and other people don't. And so it's really a lie that work-life balance is one size fits all, because we're all unique individuals, and we all are created completely differently. And to force my style or my preferences on you really does both of us a disservice.
Yeah, and so it looks different for everybody, and so don't put your expectations on other people. We have a particular roundtable participant, and when he hears about how I run my life, and he doesn't want all the time off, right? He has kids that are teenagers, and so it looks different for him than it does me, and that's okay. Right. I don't have to put my expectations on him, and he doesn't have to put his on me. It's just one size fit all. And so the other lie is, success requires sacrificing personal life for career advancement. You got to sacrifice your personal life so that you can get ahead. You got to, do the grind. And I don't think that's always true, because there really is this holistic definition of success. Even success it's multifaceted, right? It's subjective. Like, who can tell you what success is for you? And I mean, career advancement is kind of one aspect, but it can also be defined by personal fulfillment, right? Meaningful relationships. I know for me, I don't want to have all the money in the world and have broken relationships. I mean, that would not be success to me. But only you know what that looks like. So it's really why we have the ideal life, where we kind of look at all these different areas, right? Your health and your family, not just your career. Your career is 1/6 of that. It's 1/6 of the pie, and you look at your life as an entire pie. And how fulfilling is your pie?
And the ideal life, that's basically an assessment
it's a self-assessment, it's a diagnostic, and we'll put it there in the show notes. You can have it, download it, and it is there for people to have.
And it just kind of helps you figure out what your definition, to have a holistic definition of success, and also diverse paths to success. And so when you really understand what you want out of life and what's important to you and what's success to you, then because for me to live someone else's life is going to put me at the end, and I'm just going to be frustrated, and I'm going to be unfulfilled, and I'm going to be full of regret.
Yeah.
But for me to be able to define now what is important to me, what makes me happy, what is success to me in all the different 6 areas of life, in this ideal life, that helps me get to the end knowing that I lived well.
Yeah, it's like we're climbing the ladder to success, and then how many times do people realize, oh my gosh, it's leaning against the wrong building? Mm-hmm. And so we want to first lean it against the right building, and then climb your own path.
Right.
And make it, how you want it. And then this other idea is that when you think about sacrificing, your personal life for career advancement, is this long-term sustainability.
Right.
And so, maintaining a healthy work-life balance, it kind of contributes to this long-term sustainability. It's because I get it why people, might want to quit. Mm-hmm. Right? Or, you just lose your energy. And when you have this work-life balance, it's you can add value and contribute for forever. when you do it right.
Right. Because we talked about burnout is not necessarily the quantity of work that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's more the area that you are working in. And if you're working in something that you're very passionate about and completely fulfills you, it actually gives you energy. But if you're working in an area that just frustrates you or is just a capability, but it's not energizing, then that's what's going to deplete you and what's going to bring burnout.
Well, and I think there's this idea is that when your work, energizes you and you're taking time off to rejuvenate and you have a fulfilled personal life, work is not a problem because, you have all these other nourishments in your life that are feeding you. And so, I think the key is like always wanting to contribute. Even if, say, like you retire and you go on to like another stage of life, I always want to contribute. Even if I'm quote unquote retired, whatever that looks like, right? I always want to be a contributing member. And I think that's the key. Absolutely.
And then the fourth lie is more hours at work always leads to greater productivity.
Say it isn't so.
And I mean, to me, I'm thinking absolutely not, but not everybody kind of understands that. There's the law of diminishing returns, right? The law of diminishing returns states that there comes a point where you reach that. It's a tipping point. And when you reach that tipping point, your returns begin to diminish because the energy you have to push it forward has decreased to the point that you are now falling off in your returns. And it's excessively long hours or excessively or any kind of excessive hours working in an area that maybe is a competency. Or a frustration, or maybe it's just a proficiency and it's not something you're passionate about. So it's not just excessively long hours, but it's excessively long in an area that is not fulfilling. And that leads to fatigue. That leads to decreased concentration and reduced cognitive functioning. And that's really hard. Obviously, if I have reduced cognitive functioning, I am not going to have the return that I had before. And productivity declines at that point. And it doesn't necessarily improve with extended work hours. I get it. Sometimes you're at a place where you're like, hey, we have to push through because we've got a deadline. And there are times that you do have to grit through it, but not as a lifestyle.
Well, Lisa, how many times are people like they're there, but they're not there? Right?
The quit but stay?
Well, but
or the quiet quitting?
Well, but also, I'm there 8, 10, 12 hours, and there comes this point where I'm physically here, but mentally I'm not here. And I think that's the key is you always want to be where you are. And you even had this last night, as I know when we got on the plane, we were still working, you still had some work to do, and you just mentioned to me, it's like, hey, I'm just going to cut off because I'm tired and I'm just not even going to be productive.
Right. I got to the point of diminishing return and I recognized it and I just shut it down.
I remember, and these still happen at times, but where I'm just sitting in front of my computer and realize I've been staring at this computer for 30 minutes and not done anything, right? It's like my brain is just tired and, And
it wasn't an intentional, I'm just going to waste time because the intention was to knock some things out, but you had reached that tipping point.
Well, and also takes you a lot longer. Like when you've reached that tipping point, it's a law of diminishing returns. It takes you a lot longer. And so sometimes it's better just to go take a rest.
Yeah.
And then another, idea is that this whole idea of creativity and innovation, it typically doesn't happen when you're in a task.
Right.
And so extended hours, it can kind of lead to burnout. It limits creativity and your innovation kind of wanes. I mean, how many times do you have a great idea on vacation?
Or when you just came back from vacation, or when you're in the shower before you go to work.
Yeah, you're rested, you're comfortable, you're at peace, your brain is free, and then boom, this idea gets, popped into your head. But you don't get that when you're too tightly scheduled. And I think sometimes when we're too tightly scheduled, we're not able to be creative. We're going from task to task to task to task. And we need some of these breaks, whatever that looks like, even during the day, which means, something you and I are working on is just taking a lunch hour. Sometimes we have a tough time taking
We got
lunch.
out of that. We were doing working lunches, and we were like, no, that is not helping us have a good work-life balance. That is not helping us in our productivity, even though it sounds good because we have extended hours.
Right. And it goes back to this idea we talked about last time that busyness doesn't equal productivity, right? And so it really is a lie that more hours at work always leads to greater productivity. Sometimes you miss out on the creativity and innovation that you get from just contracting the rubber band and just pulling back.
Right. And that's basically the quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
That productivity is not solely determined by the quantity of hours, but it's also the quality of work during those hours that are given. Focusing on efficient and effective work tasks is a priority. Goal setting, task prioritization, those all lead to higher outcomes in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
And so that lie that more hours at work always leads to greater productivity is absolutely that. It's a lie because it's a quality versus quantity issue.
Yeah. And at least one thing that we have as a resource for people, and we're going to put it there in the show notes, is Your Ideal Life. It's a personal constraints analysis where you can look at all 6 areas of your life, and that's our gift to you. Just download it and kind of diagnose your life, take a self-assessment, and really take a hard look at it. Lisa.
And it's super easy. It just takes a couple minutes and to kind of look at your life and evaluate and find out, okay, where am I now? Where am I going? And where do I want to be?
Yeah. Lisa, my big takeaway, I'm just thinking like what are some of my takeaways? I think the one thing that really hits my head today is that, balance is not a one size fits all. And I think I have to be very careful because I can communicate very passionately about certain beliefs that I have, maybe like on free days, right? I have a certain number of free days for me, just helps me feel rejuvenated, but it's different for different people. And only you know what rejuvenates you. And just stepping back and just being very clear on myself, what rejuvenates me. And then sometimes realizing that, my approach, there's other approaches that are valid. And then I love to hear other people's approach to sort of like what it looks like to rejuvenate because it kind of gives me ideas. But Lisa, for you, what kind of hit your brain
So
today?
For me, I think lie number 1, achieving work-life balance means equal time for work and personal life. We all have a different definition of success, and we evaluate our lives differently. And in our success-driven culture, that he who has the most toys wins, or he who has the most money is the one that should sit on the pedestal, or is the one that should take office. That's just based on one person's individual definition of success. And that could be their definition of success, but you don't know when they get to the end of their life, what regrets are they going to have? And my goal for everyone would be to go through your life happy and fulfilled and get to the end and look back and say, I had a life well lived. And balancing the burnout and the stress and being successful and contributing to life and being a productive member of society in work and in our personal lives, and just really understanding, okay, when I get to the end, what do I want to leave? What's the legacy I want to leave?
Yeah, there really is no cookie cutter, right? And that's where we can't compare ourselves with each other because we're all individual. Success looks different for all of us. We all have these differing life stages and everything. And
that's how you get to burnout, is when you're trying to live someone else's life, or you're living the life that someone else, maybe your higher up or your CEO has prescribed for you.
Right.
And
it's almost this obligation that I've not really committed myself to. And then how many times does that create all of this frustration?
Or also just society and things get rolling. And we forget sometimes to take a step back and evaluate, okay, is this what I want? Is this, or am I just hanging on? Yeah.
So we want you to, this has been good. We want you to download Your Ideal Life and really take a diagnostic on your life. And we'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.